Hi, I'm Kathy Newby, Public Information Officer for Okaloosa County, and today on the Okaloosa Today Show, my guest, Ernie Padgett, and we are going to talk about budget.
Yes.
Welcome, Ernie.
Thank you.
Ernie is our county administrator, and we've already had 3 budget review meetings. Is that right?
Yes.
And so where the departments and the constitutional officers present their budgets to the Okaloosa County Commissioners. You want to talk a little bit about that process and let our audience know kind of how that works?
Okay. Kathy, it usually starts in usually around June. What we have is all 15 departments, they make their request. All those requests come to my office. And then I sit down with each department director, go over the budget, basically line item by line item, and the elected officials do also, even though with the property appraiser and the tax collector, you know, their budgets go to the state. The sheriff, he has to break his budget down also, and then I sit down with him, supervisor of elections. So we spend about 2 months going over those budgets, and then they know at the end of those sessions the amount that I'm going to recommend to the board as we go into the budget workshops with the Board of County Commissioners. And again, they're just recommendations. In other words, it's the policymakers that's elected that makes the final decision on, you know, the pie's only so big, and
right.
The Board of County Commissioners decide who gets what and to what amount.
And really that's an estimate based on what the property appraiser thinks that our ad valorem taxes are going to be based on construction. Right.
And historically, Kathy, in this county, they used to start way back in like February or March or something, and I've never been used to that. But you can start too early because you have no handle on your revenues
right.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
You know, but now, last year we slowed the process down. We started later, and things came out really well, and we're repeating that this year.
Good. And we have a few more budget reviews to go through. We have one on Monday night. And then after we go through all the budget reviews, then we get to that part you were talking about where the county commissioners set that policy. And that'll be a public hearing. That'll be at a public hearing in September. And I think we have those to put up on the screen. So those are the ones that really when it becomes final.
Yeah, there'll be 2 public hearings in September. That's set by state law. All right. Counties, 6-7 counties in the state of Florida, they have to set their 2 public hearings in September. They have 2 public hearings. It's advertised well in advance. Of course, encouraging citizens to come, and that's their time to have input during those 2 public hearings. At the last public hearing, the board will take a final vote to set a budget that has to be balanced relative to the revenues that's projected coming in and the expenses. So it'll be on September 15th. They'll do the final vote, and that will be the budget for the fiscal year 14-15 year.
Right. And in between now and then, there'll be some changes that occur. As a matter of fact, we have some adjustments to make now for the Okaloosa County Transit. You want to discuss some of the major issues for this upcoming budget year? Well,
on the transit issue, with the public transportation, last year the Board of County Commissioners discussed and basically let the various cities know across the county that the cities need to step forward a little bit more and participate in public transportation. And I can tell you, I'm a firm believer in public transportation. Some people say, well, you know, but the thing is, it does reach the people that really need. There are people that's the way they go to and from work.
Right.
And so it's something I think that should be, part of what we do here in Okaloosa County. But it's a cost sharing type thing, and that needs to be shared. And the board said last year to the cities, look, you need to step forward and help us. If you don't, we're going to have to cut back. We did cut back some last year. This year, the cities overall were non-responsive. I can't think of a better word. So what I did in the budget is just I cut out all the county funding to the budget, to the public transportation. And then when we had our first workshop, the board directed me to continue to work with the cities, meet with them, but that we would, on a scale back version, that we would again appropriate money for public transportation, which I'm glad that's what they've done. But we're going to continue to ask cities to fairly participate in this service.
Right, and then they want to participate. They want to be more involved in some
Right.
of those decisions on those routes and things like that. And it was great to hear from the public at that public hearing. A lot of the people who rode came out.
We received
lot
a
of
lot
good
of good
information.
rational input from a lot of people that utilized the service.
And of course, we've got to have money in reserves where we've got stormwater issues and all kinds of issues coming up in this budget year. Of course, stormwater has always been an issue for a very long time, and in infrastructure, that's always a challenge with the budget. But we try to divide it into 3 categories of funding, and that's for public safety, essential services, and then quality of life issues like your libraries and your museums, and the veteran services is in that quality of life. So a lot of things that are really needed as well,
Right.
For Okaloosa County. So, but balancing that money and the unexpected emergencies that we had this year with the rain event.
And that's, and you mentioned it previous, it's a stormwater issue. And this county does need to, there's significant catch-up that needs to be made relative to stormwater. And, this year I am recommending to the board that they increase what's called a municipal services taxing unit that's only in unincorporated areas, increase a millage slightly that will generate about $600,000 or $800,000 a year for stormwater. It would be dedicated year after year to be used strictly to start trying to catch up with the stormwater needs that we have. And stormwater doesn't mean just flooding of areas and houses. A good stormwater program also means quality of water issues in our bays and what have you. And this is very important because we're a tourist area. If the word gets out that we have bodies of water, that the quality of that water is questionable, well, that's going to affect your tourism. So
Absolutely.
You have a situation that not only affects your residents that's here all the time, that's in the flooding and the inconveniences and some of the real destruction we had during these last rains, but it also affects tourists that come here. And we do rely a lot on the tourism. Businesses
Major
rely.
economic indicator.
It is.
In the
It's a
county.
big impact in
Yeah.
this county. So we really need to move forward and address the stormwater issue. So the board's going to have some hard decisions to make over the next 2 months.
Well, I'm really glad that you mentioned that, Ernie, because our waterways and our area is just so beautiful, and we really need to protect those waterways, and for personal reasons so that we can all continue to enjoy them, and for, like you say, for our tourism industry, which is huge.
And I got to say, and I'm not just saying this because I happen to be in Okaloosa County right now, but I spent 12 years in Manatee County. That's a beautiful county. You have a lot of beach area. It's just across the Skyway Bridge from St. Petersburg. Then it goes down to actually Longboat Key in Sarasota. Part of that's actually in Manatee County. Beautiful beaches and all.
Absolutely.
But this county overall, when it's if you go to the north end, that's the good old rural areas. Beautiful. You come on down. Of course, we're very fortunate to have Eglin and Hurlburt and the different fields. Then you go to the south, beautiful beaches, and
Right.
This county has a lot going for it. We just need to make sure that in county government that we do things that's really progressive and responsible, that we maintain our quality of life. That some people say, we got to. We can't be spending money on this, that, or the other. Well, you have to. Businesses have to do it, so governments have to also. That don't mean wasting money. It does not mean being big spenders, but
Right.
it means that we're taking care of business.
Right. Everybody should be able to enjoy books and enjoy computers, whether they can afford them at home or have to go to the
Exactly.
library. And that helps educate our students, and then those educated students become productive citizens. So it's so important to for those quality of life issues.
Right.
They have a long-lasting effect. You know, you can't just look right at that moment. You do have to look at the future and the big picture, so to speak. So, but we are going to get some help a little bit of help from FEMA. You want to just touch on that? I mean, you know,
Their people have been continuously in the county almost since right after the unusual, you know, probably 100 or 200 year rain, you know, that happens about statistically that often. But FEMA has been working with us. Now, sometimes we think they're a little slow to respond, but it's hoops that they have to jump through, basically on directives that's been given to them from the federal government. But they have been working closely with us.
Helping our citizens too.
Yeah, there'll be a considerable amount of money coming in that FEMA will be helping us with. But even with that, there still is considerable expenses that's going to have to be realized on the local level.
Right, because you know it's my understanding that they'll pay 75% of those damages, and then there's a local match, 25%, and then
correct.
That's divided between the county and the state. So.
And some people say, well, why can't they pay it all? Well, that's not the way it works. You know, we got to be careful that we, as local government, we don't stand out there all the time with our hand out to the federal government or the state. We have to do our part to an acceptable level.
Okay, well, let's talk about ad valorem versus enterprise funds and general funds, the different colors of money. Ernie, can you explain that?
Yeah, we have, for an example, enterprise fund or an operation would be like our water and sewer. That's an operation, it's a large department. We provide a lot of water and sewer services to many, many people in this county. It's an enterprise fund. It generates, in other words, the ratepayers pay for the expenses of running that department. We do not put general revenue dollars in there.
Right.
Same thing with, basically it's a user's fee. You use the water, you use the sewer, you pay.
Airports.
Airport is another example. TDC, you know,
Right.
those dollars come from the 5 cent of the
Bed
tourist
tax.
development bed tax. Yes, so
Hotel
those are what we consider enterprise that we do not put general revenue dollars in there.
Well, let's talk about some capital projects. That's another huge part of the budget. We've got some new buildings we're working on, and also some major maintenance issues on some of our existing buildings. You want to
We do.
touch on those?
You know, the major, the three, what I call the three building projects that we have going, we'll roll them into one as far as the financing of them. There will be a new administration building built in Shalimar. We're going to, right now we're paying in excess probably of $1 million a year in rent that we're renting. So whether it's the property appraiser and the tax collector, the big uptown station, we're bumping almost $750,000 just with those two.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some others that's out there that we're going to pull those in, and looking over the long term, it's better for the government to own the building and not be paying rent.
Absolutely.
Than paying rent out there. So we're going to that project, the courthouse in Crestview. That old courthouse has definitely got to be two things. It's got to be expanded and renovated. It's not really user friendly. It might have been many, many years ago, but not today. And
it
also,
is a different world today, and security is a big issue today.
It is.
And you know, can you touch on that a little bit, Ernie? Because a lot of people feel like, you know, the question I hear sometimes from citizens is, why do we need these buildings? You know, what was wrong with the Shalimar Annex? Well, a lot was wrong with the Shalimar Annex.
well, when you have a situation, say at the old courthouse in Crestview, where you have a situation that law enforcement and the courts cannot control the coming and goings. For an example, if you have a situation that increases the probability of a defendant in a case, the prosecutor, the victim, and the perpetrator of the crime all at once, you end up in one elevator, that's not good.
Right.
There's been some real stories, and I've seen that. We had to, in Manatee County, we had to build a new judicial center because the old courthouse was outdated and it was dangerous the way they had to go. A lot of things go on in court. People are not there because usually they want to be. So it's a very trying type situation.
Well, and the annex, anybody could go in there,
Exactly.
without even
Because some of
necessarily
it
going.
is a security issue. Others is just, it needs to be user friendly to the public that
Right.
has to come there and take care of business.
We want to keep them safe as well.
So those three, and the sheriff, we got to expand his offices and pull some of the people that we're having to pay rent for. So those three projects rolled into one will be somewhere between $20 million and $22 million. But we'll do that with a bond issue. But the majority of that money for the debt service will be coming from the rents that we've saved.
And we also have to make those buildings ADA compliant these days.
Exactly.
As well. So that's a good explanation. And I remember as we move on through some of these other issues, I remember Mr. Curry, the previous county administrator, and our human resources director talking about the personnel and the salary cuts and not raising those and different things like that were cut for 3 years in a row. I remember them saying there's going to come a point that you have to catch up. You have to catch up on county vehicles, on your buildings, on these maintenance issues. So here we are trying to catch up. So I think that's important to mention.
We made a move last year to start, and we see that trend, and hopefully we can continue the catch up during this fiscal year.
And so that's been the process. Is we started that in this year's budget, and we want to continue that for 2015. A lot of people don't realize that we have state mandates. Of course, the state helps us on many issues as well, but with funding different things. But we also have some state mandates that get passed down to us, like the medical examiner. A lot of people don't realize that we have to pay the medical examiner for one medical examiner for the 4-county area in our district. So, you want to talk about some of those unfunded
Well, just
mandates real quick?
very briefly,
Yeah.
there's always room for improvement in the relationship between local government and state government. I can remember the day when the relationship was better between the state and county government. There continues to be a lot of unfunded state mandates, which means that over in Tallahassee, they make these laws and these rules. It impacts local government. We have to pay for them. And so that's, and we're always, somewhat debating with the state on, look, you need to, on that, if you're going to make a law, then don't say, well, you're going to do this and you're going to pay for it, local government.
Right. So we'll keep working on that.
We
and
will.
And we encourage everybody, our budgets are online, the proposed budget and last year's budget and previous budgets are online at our website, and you're welcome to attend any of those public hearings or the budget reviews. Those are all public as well. And then as we move into before I let you go, as we move into my public information update, a very special friend of yours, an ex-POW, Colonel Pete Peterson, came and visited Okaloosa County, and what a treat that was. He was a Vietnam POW, and we have some photos to share of him, and so glad that he could come and share some of his time here in Okaloosa County. And I want to thank you all for joining us for the Okaloosa Today Show, and we will see you next time.
Thanks for watching Okaloosa Today. Join us again next month to learn about local news and information for Okaloosa County, Fort Walton Beach, and Destin.